So I lost my camera connection here for a moment, so let me start over again. I was talking about my Harley, and I started to look at the Harley culture, and I really just didn't like what I saw. I don't mean to be critical, but I probably am. First of all the guys look the same, and they're all old, and they all wear the same clothes, and very few of them wear the proper protective gear. And this is what really started to get me. Is around the protective gear, because a good friend of ours had a wreck when we were on one of our rides, and I saw him injured. Fortunately, he survived, but I thought, it really doesn't make a lot of sense to be riding around without the right stuff in a t-shirt. And although I always wore a helmet, but a lot of the Harley riders don't even wear helmets. And I noticed that the riders of these Japanese bikes, most of them wear the proper protective gear. And it just seems like the main design element of a Harley is testosterone. And so let's just keep the bike macho and make it look tough. And that's kind of what sells. And the main design element on this bike that I'm riding right now is performance and functionality, and it still maintains beautiful, good looks. But as far as performance, it makes my Harley look like a Mack truck. And I'm really enjoying it. And then I also got tired of the noise. My bike is so loud that it sets off car alarms in the parking lot, and I got tired of that. And so I've gone into this beautiful FJR, and it's a real thrill. I only have, looking down now, 496 miles on it, so I'm still learning how to ride it, so I'm not doing anything crazy on it. And I probably never will do anything crazy on it, although I'm tempted when I get more comfortable with it. But it's a real pleasure to ride. And also have the protective gear. But when I think about the macho Harley culture, and then I look at the other culture of these sport bikes, well, there's no way these Harley guys can match these crazy kids on these crotch rockets in terms of, what I actually consider to be kind of insane at times. But I've watched these YouTube videos doing the wheelies, doing lane splitting, and just doing crazy stuff on these bikes. But I think it's a little bit insane, but you sort of have to admire their skill and being able to pop a wheelie on one of those things around 70, 80, 90 miles an hour and still keep the bike under control. But I don't think I'm ever going to be doing that. So one of the things that you're not going to hear on this Motovlog, and some things that I've heard on these other vlogs that I really don't like, is these kids can't talk without cussing. I mean, I've been in the Navy and everything, and I know how to use the F word just as good as anybody else. As a matter of fact, these days I think the F word is what I call the Swiss Army knife of words. It's an adjective, it's a verb, it's a noun, and sometimes it doesn't even make any sense at all. But you kind of think if you took that away from some of these guys, they couldn't even say a sentence. And I don't know who they're making these vlogs for. I guess they're making them for each other, because that's the language they use, and I understand the culture, and don't particularly like it, but I can understand. You grow up with that, and that word becomes as common as if, and, or thee. But what they don't understand is that there's still a generation that finds that word to be as one of the most offensive words in the English language. And I know when I was growing up, even though I got in trouble all the time and I wasn't the best kid in the world, I would never have dreamed of using that word in front of my parents or in public within earshot of anybody else. But now it's just all over the place. So You know, I figure that I've lived long enough where I can put a sentence together, and I don't feel deprived at all if I can't use those words to punctuate my sentences. So that's one thing you're not going to hear on this Motovlog or any others, and you're not going to see me breaking laws. I'm going to be a sane, responsible rider. I believe it's a contribution to the motorcycle culture to show people that there are responsible people out there. And for you motovlogging kids that are watching this, you might say, well, he's an old fuddy-duddy, and we don't want to watch a motovlog of an old man. And that's great. I'm sure that there are a lot of other old men out there who'd like to watch my motovlogs and share my thoughts, and we'll do just fine. But even though I might sound rather critical of you guys, I've learned a lot about setting up this GoPro camera and doing this motovlog, and that's how I've learned. So I've been browsing through YouTube and watching all your stuff, and I'm amazed that in spite of the fact that you use language that is offensive to me personally, in my opinion, in spite of that, you still have some of you guys have like 500,000 subscribers or 100,000 subscribers, and that's pretty amazing. So I probably ought to temper my judgment a little bit, and maybe I can adapt to your culture, and maybe you could adapt to my culture, and we could both learn from each other. Because another thing that you're not going to hear on this vlog is just a random stream of consciousness stuff, where I just talk about what I'm going to have for lunch and all that kind of stuff, and I'm not going to be slamming other people, although you might say, well, you just did by talking about those young motovloggers. Well, I'm not going to be getting into personal vendettas. I mean, I've listened to some of these motovlogs, and man, it's about personal vendettas about other people. You're not going to hear me trashing drivers that are in front of me and using obscene language, talking about how crazy that driver is who just cut in front of me and stuff like that. Well, I'm not going to do that. But one of the reasons that I wanted to do this is because when I'm on my motorcycle, and I've spent many, many miles, as I said, 90,000 miles on my Harley all over the country, I do my best thinking on a motorcycle. I don't know what it is. It's like meditation for me. Because if you know anything about meditation, you know that meditation is a state of mind that's not totally relaxed. If you get totally relaxed while you're trying to meditate, you'll go to sleep. But it's also quieting your mind where you're not scattered all over the place with 100,000 thoughts streaming through your mind all the time. You're trying to slow down that parade. And for me, riding a motorcycle does that. I can't be totally relaxed on this motorcycle, but I also can't be thinking about 100,000 different things. I have to be focused on one thing with a calm state of mind. And so when I'm in a calm state of mind, I have a lot of thoughts that bubble up in my head that I want to talk about. And the problem is, I don't have anybody to talk about them, and when I get where I'm going, and the thought's gone. I remember back there on that road, I thought about something that was pretty profound, and I wanted to capture it, but I don't remember what it is. So I thought, well, you know, wouldn't it be great if I could be riding around on my motorcycle and just capture some of these thoughts and record them. And so that's when I discovered all the little GoPro setup and the Cena 20S intercom system and the Bluetooth pack for the GoPro. And I sure hope it's working right now, because I can't guarantee that it is. But I will see when I get back to the room in Terlingua and I load this stuff into the computer and see what it looks like. So over here on the left, you can probably see these beautiful, beautiful Chisos Mountains with the clouds coming in. This is called the Ross Maxwell Drive. It will end up at Santa Elena Canyon, which I'll probably ride down there because that's also a beautiful sight. Wow. The only problem with doing this GoPro stuff is I can't really turn my head to the right or the left for a long length of time to show you what I'm seeing out there, because that's to be a little bit dangerous. But we'll see how it looks. And around lunch, we're going to go up to the Chisos Basin, which is a beautiful little windy road up to the top. The basin is actually an old volcano crater, and you'll see it. It looks like a basin. I didn't mean to be too critical about my Harley riding friends. Some of my best friends are Harley riders because I've been riding with them for a number of years. But you know, after a while, you just you want to move on to something else, and we have our opinions about things. And Harleys definitely have a culture all of its own, and it has a product loyalty that you can't match anywhere else. But they are terribly overpriced. On the way here, we stopped at a little rest stop between Alpine and Terlingua because I was towing the bike on a trailer, and I wanted to stop at the rest stop to check the ties. And so this wrecker driver pulls in behind me, and he was an older guy, probably 65, and he was towing a truck behind his wrecker, and he starts talking to me about motorcycles, and he said he had just bought a Harley Trike 3-wheeler. That he paid $37,000 for that 3-wheel motorcycle, and then he put another $4,000 in it to buy all the chrome goodies that you have to have. And that's the genius of Harley Davidson, is that you don't have any other product that you go buy, and before you even drive it out of the showroom, you got to add all these accessories, because first of all, you can't ride a Harley with stock mufflers. It's just not done. And so the first thing you have to do is to buy the new mufflers that with the Harley sound, because that's the key to Harley Davidson is the sound. And it is a cool sound, I'll have to admit. Then you buy all this stuff, then you have to buy the garb. And another thing that you really just is not done on a Harley is to ride with full protective gear. I mean, you get a jacket like I'm wearing right now, a beautiful thing that my friend in Colorado recommended to me that he's been using for 20 years, an Arrow Stitch Darien jacket. And it's got the shoulder pads and the elbow pads. It just feels really good. And bought a brand new helmet, the Scorpion modular helmet. Well, these things just aren't done on a Harley, you know. You just don't ride with full protective gear on a Harley with the knee pads and all that stuff. But people will laugh at you if you do that. And it's just part of that culture that I just figured I'm not into this anymore, because I do want to spend the rest of the years of my life healthy and functioning, not with my legs all trussed up in a hospital bed with broken bones and everything. I watched my friend air evac'd out in a helicopter to BAMC Medical Center in San Antonio, and 6 broken ribs, internal bleeding, a little road rash on his arms. And you know, it just motorcycling is fun, don't want to give it up, but I think it's time to be a little bit more responsible and thoughtful with the whole sport.